Hey there guys, we're going to be going back to Lord of Jewels 1000 for another perfect score run. From the previous videos, I saw lots of comments saying what if I don't have the meta units, like what if I don't have Sylvie, Chizuru, Olive, Tsukiko, all these brand new units that are crazy powerful, what if I don't have them? Well, we're not going to use them. Also, I saw some people that are copying the three-man party, and you didn't read the fine print where I told you guys if you're having problems with the three-man party, you're supposed to add extra units. I've seen some of you saying you're not damage capping with only 3 units, you're having problems chaining with only 3 units. You were supposed to add extra units to the party. But now we're going to go back for a more traditional, just regular, not so flashy clear. So this is going to be a 6-man party that is going to damage cap without any of the meta units like, Chizuru, Sylvie, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go with a fire team using Leftia, Runda, and Tyvis combination. Now the gear isn't really low end on this party. We are using a decent chunk of STMRs, but the units are hopefully a little bit older at this point. Okay, so in order to take no damage from the boss, we're going to shift Sky, start her in the base form, then shift her. And we're going to use her shifted LB to accuracy down on the boss so that Runda with auto cover evades all the damage, no RNG. Let's have Esther triple Stardust Ray just to fill her LB gauge. And the rest of the party is going to get the chain count score out of the way. Lots of you guys said you can't chain double Extreme Nova, which makes sense. It's hard to do. That's why you're supposed to add extra units to that party. Anyway, so we're going to Scarlet Wave on Leftia. We're going to triple Bolting on Runda. We're going to triple Bolting on Tyvis, doesn't really matter which one. We're going to triple Bolting on Laura, and we're going to chain up these guys. So Bolting is really easy to chain. That's the 100 count chain score out of the way on turn 1. Also, Tyvis will give us 3 counts of weakness damage. So there we go, accuracy down on the boss with evading Runda, no damage taken. Now we're going to go ahead and use Esther to LB to put up that nice field. Let's go to the base form with Sky, just so her LB auto refills. You can break, you can guard, whatever it's going to guard. You don't really need to do anything. Laura Croft can just guard as well this turn, so can Tyvis, honestly. Runda is going to put up an ice resist buff for next turn. That's from Carbuncle. And then Leftia is going to do the stacking fire amp, or the ramping fire amp on Tyvis. It'll be a 100% amp by turn 4. So single target light damage this turn is on Runda, who's provoking with immunity. This turn's the AoE ice attack, but we're going to be immune thanks to the gear we're wearing. Okay, so Tyvis is going to go ahead and do his STMR. We're going to shift Sky and use another copy of Tyvis's STMR in the shift form. Laura Croft can shift here and do volatile ammunition. That's going to put up a break, but not yet. Let's have Esther do a Stardust Ray to refill her LB gauge. Let's do a Energizing Bunny for a Stone Killer for the party, and a Calm Before the Storm to Sword in Peril and, buff her up. Let's have Leftia do nothing this turn. Runda has nothing to do this turn. These two can just guard. And then Laura Croft is going to Volatile Ammunition for the 90 break and the 135 Fire in Peril. So we're wearing 20% ice resist on the party, and then we've got a 80% buff from Carbuncle. No damage taken. Perfect. Okay, now it is kill time. So my EX2 Leftia is now good to go with her SLB, so that's handled. Runda is going to triple his modifier boost on Tyvis. So commencing target, formulating battle plan, and strategization complete. All on Tyvis to power up his SLB. Esther's going to LB, Sky's going to go to the base form in LB. We're going to just Extreme Nova with Laura Croft just to build the chain quicker, and Tyvis will SLB to cap. Remember, we did get the chain count score on turn 1. So we're looking for a 10.7 or better. With Tyvis's big hit in there somewhere, we should have done well. I didn't see the damage there. But so this is not going to be a super big overcap because we're not using all those big meta options. Like Sylvie is the big deal here, 11.2. So we by my calculations, this team does between 8.5 to 12. So that's about exact average variance. So on average, you should damage cap with this party. But again, if the big damage dealers are like Tsukiko, Olive, Chizuru. Those are like the best damage dealers, not counting the new Legend of Mana units. Those are good too. But Tsukiko, Olive, and Chizuru are the good older units for damage here. Esther is really power crept at this point, not to mention we're not using Sylvie. And using Sylvie is a tremendous deal as well because of that 100% party-wide amplify. You see the difference that a 100% amplify makes. So Tyvis, 6 billion thanks to a 100% single target amp from Leftia on Tyvis. Not to mention Tyvis did have the run to power-ups. So that kind of skews it in his favor. And Esther didn't have Sylvie on the party because this is a no Sylvie clear, so we couldn't use her. But anyway, there was our perfect score on Lord of Jewels without the meta unit. So I'll show you the gear we use. So the gear is a little bit more expensive because we are using, quote-unquote, bad units. Old, they're not bad, there's older units. So base form Esther is 20 or better ice resist. We're getting that from the Soul of Palladia. Other than that, chain cap damage, or chain damage, or LB damage, versus Stones, and there's the build. Just a card. I could have given her a Wilkes card, it would have been better, but tried to keep it a little bit cheaper. It's not really a cheap card, but you get the idea. It's better than a premium card. So anyway, maxed LB damage and max Stone Killer. She gears for this very, very easily. Sky, in the base form, is using Titus's STMR, and we're starting in the base form. Other than that, LB damage versus Stones, and we don't wear ice resist in the base form because we don't stay here on turn 3. And we start in the base form to get her LB filled. We're using a Great Sword for the LB damage as well as the Great Sword in Peril. Maxed LB damage, max Stone Killer, and then shift form is using a little bit of ice resist and Tyvis's Spirit, and she does accuracy down as well. So really slot efficient. She actually outdamaged Esther without Sky or without Sylvie, which is pretty nice. Yeah, her base form can do respectable damage if you own Tyvis's STMR. That's the big disclaimer here. That's really important. If you don't have Titus's Garb, don't bother with the base form Sky. It'll be bad. But if you have Titus's Garb, it turns her base form into a really respectable damage dealer in Dark Visions. Lara Croft in the base form, just a little bit of ice resist, shifts form, and extreme Nova material, so we can support chain. Other than that, we didn't even need that. If you don't have any of these, you don't need it. We do the chain count mission on turn 1, and then on turn 2, we're chaining Sky with Esther, so you don't even need this. If you don't have it, it's not a big deal. So she's literally just a breaker, 90%, as well as a 135 fire in Peril. You could also do things like, Hawkeye, or Wilk, or other 90 breakers. I'm forgetting who they are. But yeah, a 90 breaker is a big deal. Leftia is just using a little bit of ice resist as well as jet black silk ribbons for her 100% amplify. And then Scarlet Wave. Now it is a little bit important that she's EX2. That way we could SLB by turn 4 for the big LB damage buff and the AoE fire imbue and all that. If you're not EX2 Leftia, you might want to add something like Roberta to the party instead. That way you can get an amplify and LB damage and all that within 4 turns. You want to kill this boss by turn 4 if you can. So Runda is using Runda's Head Burst, passive provoke evasion, 20 or better ice, 100 or better light resist, and there's the gear. Very, very cheap gear, very easy. The Runda's Head Burst is a free item from Season 4. And then Tyvis, the star of the show here, 20 or better ice resist, LB damage versus Stones. Here we go. Now, if you owned a second copy of Titus's Garb, way better on him. I only have 1 copy, and I gave it to Sky because Sky requires it. Tyvis just, desires it. But it would have been better on Tyvis if I had a second copy, but I don't. So LB damage versus Stones, and there it is. And then he did the most damage thanks to Runda and Leftia powering him up. And okay, there's the perfect score without all the meta guys. Again, not a massive overcap. Maybe I'll go back for just like a for fun, hit it as hard as we can clear, and do like 35 billion with like all the meta units on the same 6-man party. That could be fun. Maybe I'll do it. But, that wouldn't really be the best as a guide video. Then again, it's fun. Okay, see you in a bit.